This is Ross Barber-Smith, and you are listening to Me, Myself, and I Radio.
Welcome to Me, Myself, and I Radio, a self-discovery podcast. Here are stories of transformation and hope with your host, Anthony Hayes. It's time to be inspired. Let's go.
It's early morning. Drank so hard last night, my lids are swollen. Got my guitar, gotta get to a studio. Got a track and I think it's gonna hit, yo. It's been so many years and there's been so many tears, and it's gonna be well worth the pain, see, when all my people line up to see me. Cause I got no money, got no home.
If you enjoyed that introduction song, that is Lovestruck Robot coming through again with the tunes, this time with Do It All for the Dream. Head on over to lovestruckrobot.com or download that on iTunes right now. Good morning, good afternoon, hip hip me, myself, and I Radio Tribe. I'm mixing it up with a cool cat today, all the way from Scotland. We're going all around the world and back today with these awesome conversations here on the show. My co-pilot today on today's journey of self-discovery is no stranger to the microphone. An intricate part of our Facebook group, the Podcast Discovery Center. He's also co-host of Bridge the Atlantic and founder of Electric Kiwi. Love the name. Anyway, I digress. And what he does there with that is he helps artists to turn their passion into career. Ross Barber-Smith, let's get into Me, Myself, and I, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being here. We're just going around the world today with a just awesome guests, and I'm so thankful to have you on and to really just get into your Me, Myself, and I elements. So thank you.
No, thank you for having me.
So Ross, man, I know you as a podcaster. I know you as a web designer. I see your beautiful images of your portfolio and the stuff you're creating, the content, and it's just awesome. Thanks so much for being a creator, man. First and foremost.
Thanks. Yeah, it's I think it would be hard not to create. Really. I think if I wasn't creating, I honestly don't really know what I would be doing with myself.
No doubt. What now this passion that you have for everything that you're doing today, what brought you here? What was the journey like? What were the other elements to lead up to today?
For pretty much as long as I can remember, I've been designing websites. I started when I was around 12, because one of my friends had designed a website, and I thought, well, hey, I want to do that. So we kind of had a bit of back and forth friendly competition going on. But at the same time, I really loved music, and I think I really had it in my head that I wanted to be a musician. And I remember at school, one of our teachers was asking, and I must have been probably about 16 or so at this point. And she was going around the class and she was asking everyone, what is it you want to do? And I said, I want to work in the music industry. And she literally laughed in my face and told me to stop dreaming because it was never going to happen.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's a pretty shitty thing to hear when you're 16. And you've really, got your heart set on something. But,
you proved her wrong, didn't you?
Eventually. Yeah. So yeah, that was always kind of in the back of my mind, I think. And I had to make a choice when I was going to go to university. Was it going to be something computer related or was it going to be something music related? And I hadn't really but for a lot of the kind of IT and computer related things, you need to have pretty good grades in like physics and maths and all these things. And I didn't. I failed physics twice, and I only attempted maths once because I wasn't going to try it again because it was
right there with you, brother.
Horrible. I was horrible at it, but. Because I knew that the music was what I wanted to do, I remember staying, I would spend my whole lunch hour in the music room practicing because I wanted to pass, and to me there wasn't any other option. I had to do something related to music, and at that point I thought I wanted to be a performer. And then I got to university and everything was great. And then when it came to my final year performance, it kind of fell apart because the band that we had to put together didn't learn any of the songs, which, partially reflected on me because, I was being graded as the guy that holds it all together and, delegates things and makes sure it happens. But anyway, it was terrible. And I was really unsure if I was going to pass the whole course. And this is like a week before the end, so there wasn't any time to redo it.
Wow.
But at the same time, I'd been doing a promotion and marketing class as part of that course, where we weren't really given much guidance. We weren't really given much we weren't really told what to do. We could figure out our own plan, and I did. So my plan was to use the skills I already had, as outdated as they were, was to build a website for myself as a singer-songwriter and send people to the site via social media and get them to sign up to my mailing list, with the aim being to get 100 people to sign up. And, I didn't know really how to do any of this stuff. I knew how to build the website, but I didn't really know how to do any of the rest of it. Gotcha. But I did that, and I ended up getting a really good grade for that class. And I think it all happened at the right kind of time. The performance thing fell apart, but the promotion and marketing thing kind of went way better than I thought. And I kind of thought to myself, well, maybe I don't really want to be a performer. Like it really knocked my confidence in that side of things. So, but then I was like, but I've always liked doing websites, but the thing is, it has to be websites for musicians because I don't really care about anything else.
Oh, so you put those two loves together. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so that's how I did it. But then obviously, like I was applying for jobs and stuff once I graduated, and I wasn't getting any of the jobs that I was applying for. So it was things like marketing director. That's way above my station. Like a marketing assistant or a marketing administrator or something like that, involved with like music venues and theater venues and anything that was entertainment or music related, because I knew that was the space I wanted to be in. Because at this point I hadn't decided that I was going to do things myself, because I didn't really think that I could.
Sure.
So I worked in some jobs that I hated, left a job after customers on the phone being incredibly abusive.
They are, aren't they? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's tough. Customer service is tough. That's one of those things that in university they should teach people. They should teach you how to work with the public. They should teach you how to be compassionate. And that's just one of those, I don't know, that's my 2 cents, but anyway.
Right, that should be. And there should be a class on like how to treat a waiter at a restaurant and how to treat the person that you're speaking to on your phone who's been sitting there for 8 hours a day, and doesn't really care about your problem. Well, some of them do care, but I think by the time you've been sitting there for 8 hours a day, and you probably don't really care. I know I didn't.
No doubt.
It was horrible. So where was I going with this? So yeah, I did all the jobs kind of, lots of jobs I didn't like. And then I did, I was speaking to a musician on Twitter who I'd been a fan of for, I think 6 years or so before that. Like, she was an independent artist, got signed to a major label, but left the major label. And she tweeted one day that she was looking for, an intern in LA to help her with some digital marketing stuff. And instantly I saw my opportunity and thought, okay, I'm going to tweet her back. I'm just going to say, hey, I'm exactly who you need, but I'm in the wrong location. Can we talk anyway? And she said yes. And then she ended up becoming my first client, and she referred some other artists to me, made some introductions, and really I kind of credit a lot of what I'm doing now to her, because if she didn't take that chance on me, then I probably would still have got here, but it would have taken me longer, or I may have decided, you know what, I'm just gonna stick with a job that I don't like and deal with it. But
you took that leap of faith, and that it paid off in the long run.
Yeah, definitely. And from there I was doing some freelance stuff while I was still working full time, because I figured it was important for me to build a portfolio and actually have like testimonials and things so that people would take me seriously. So I did that while I worked at various places. And by that point, I'd moved away from the call center, and I was working at a digital marketing company who specialized in hotels. And while, you know, I enjoyed the type of work more because I wasn't being shouted at on the phone all day, it kind of reinforced my belief that, yeah, doing websites is great, but if it's not for musicians or something that I'm passionate about, then I don't really feel like I'm making a difference, I think. And
Gotcha.
And that led me to really kind of make the decision. Like, things kind of went pear-shaped there. Like, there was a lot of tension with various people in the office, and I don't like confrontation and all that stuff. It made me very uncomfortable. So I did make the decision. I was like, right, I'm going to just try it. I think I can do this by myself. I'm just going to take that leap. And luckily it paid off. It was a very scary few months, not knowing where the next client's going to come from, not knowing if someone's going to pay you. I mean, that still happens a little bit, but not to the extent when, you know, you don't really, you know, you've just left a secure job and now you've taken that leap. But I think that was maybe 5 years ago, which is crazy to think that it's been that long, and it's crazy to think that I actually do this. Like, I mean, I have some really stressful days sometimes when, you know, the emails are just piling up or there's lots of deadlines and that stresses me out. But I still have to remind myself is that I'm really lucky to be able to do, you know, work that I love with people that I love, and I don't have to answer to anyone other than myself and my clients. And that's a pretty awesome thing.
Yeah, no doubt. I think a lot of people settle. A lot of people, they stop pursuing their passions because they hit some type of roadblock. There's some type of obstacle or circumstances in their way. And, you know, those are the things that we delve into on the show, you know, uncovering those elements, the past, present, and future of ourselves, and what we're going to become in the future. So I think, you know, hearing this from you is just totally relatable. And I know that everybody out there listening is totally digging it, man. So awesome.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah.
So Ross, you mentioned being in a band and everything like that. Did you play instruments, or what was your role in that?
So I was a vocalist. I played.
Can you sing us
something? No, not now.
Damn it. Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. I tried.
Although I know you're a big fan of Darren Hayes, and this is what was it? What happened? So when I was a kid, I used to think that I sounded like Simba from The Lion King, but then I heard Savage Garden, and I thought, hey, I can sing To the Moon and Back like Darren Hayes. My voice hadn't broken at this point, so I was able to kind of sing slightly higher, because he's got a higher tone.
His range is ridiculous. His falsetto is like, ugh, wow.
Yeah, and I think that was it. I was able to do all that, and there was a show over here called Stars in Their Eyes, which was basically like a singing show, but you would go on as someone else. And as a kid, I totally thought I could pull this off. I can go on Stars in Their Eyes and be Darren Hayes. But the catch was that you had to be over 16. And at this point, I think I was only maybe 11 or so. So it never would have happened. But my sister's actually a really big fan of Darren Hayes.
The thought was there. That's awesome.
The thought was there.
You remember that. I have a signed picture of him on my desk that I'm sitting at right now. Yeah, I found, you know, Savage Garden a long time ago, and I don't know, I guess I always kind of gravitated towards pop and stuff because I have a little bit of a music background. I was in choir and the show choir and chorus in high school, and I played guitar, and there's just something about his tonality that really spoke to me. And ever since that day that I heard, you know, their first album, I followed their career and his ever since. And it was just like every time they only put out 2 albums, but afterwards when Darren kept, you know, was putting out these albums, and I'm sure you can relate to this because you have a passion for music as well. There was something about that album or those songs at that time that it brought me to like an amazing place in my life, whether it was you know, an emotion down deep inside, or it excited me or something. But like every time that a song would come out or an album, it was just it was a really intricate part of my life, and music was just one of those tools for me that really helped me discover myself ultimately.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one memory that I have about Savage Garden is we used to always listen to them whenever we went on family trips to Edinburgh, which is where my mum's side of the family's from. And we would always listen to Savage Garden. And Two Beds and a Coffee Machine is such a great song. It's so depressing.
Yes.
But it's so good. And I just think, I would probably say that, because they were a group that I listened to kind of younger when I was forming my musical taste, I think that they probably had a bigger influence on me than I probably realized, because I definitely listened to them quite a lot back in the day. I've written stuff, I've recorded like old demos like 9 years ago when I was at college, and sometimes I think about wanting to do that again, even if it's just recording 4 or 5 songs that I've written, or a few that I've written and a couple that I just love, and just putting them out there just so that I can say I did it. But I don't know. It's something it's always in the back of my mind.
No
It
doubt.
might happen. I don't know.
Yeah, man, you're right. Who knows? I mean, we don't know what of tomorrow, and what our future is in store. This constant evolution, this journey of self-discovery that we're all on. And if from what I've heard, following passions is something that you've done very well and been very successful at, even through all the obstacles. And I think it's just a matter of time before you make that next dream come true. So I wish you the best of luck with that, and definitely sign me up for an autographed CD.
Sure, you'll be the first. You're the only person that's ever asked, so you're automatically first in the queue. So yeah.
Oh, cool. Oh man. All right. So cool. We're just like time machine. We went back in time, went through college. We're just going all in and out of your life with just awesome elements of it. And I want to talk a little bit about the podcast and the partnership that you have with that, because I mean, musically, everything that you do, it comes back to that. It's just that passion. So the two of you and Mauricio, you share that passion, and you guys have bridged the Atlantic. So let everybody know a little bit about that venture, if you will.
Sure. So the show, we interview musicians and people in the music industry. So some people behind the scenes, as well as actors, and basically people that are doing something in the creative space, and have interesting or inspiring stories, to share. We started the show again, kind of by accident. Well, maybe not accident. That's not really the right word, but, I was interviewed on a podcast. And then I suggested Marcio to be a guest on the same podcast. And as soon as he finished that interview, he called me up on Skype and he's like, "Dude, we need to start a podcast." And I was like, "Yeah,
just
sure,
like that."
Okay. Yeah, I was like, "Yeah, let's do a podcast, no problem."
Let's rock.
And he was like, "But we have to do video." And I was like, "Oh, no, I don't do video." And he was like. He's like, "But no, you have to do videos. Like, we have to do something that makes us stand out." And he's like, they don't really see many shows that do what we do as a video show. Like, there's quite a lot of interview shows, but there's not really many on video, especially not one that incorporates people in different parts of the world through Skype. I mean, I'm by no means saying that we're the only ones that do it, but there's not many, I think. So
yeah, for sure.
He kind of twisted my arm. It took quite a bit of twisting, but I agreed to it. And yeah, we're over 100 episodes in. There's been a lot of ups and downs. Thank you. Lots of ups and downs, mostly involving Skype and the fact that we record video, and people not turning up for interviews. Not all the things that I guess come with the territory when you're doing a podcast. Right. But I would say the one thing that really kind of kept us going the whole time, despite having the problems, was the fact that we get to connect with some people that we would never normally get a chance to connect to, and actually become friends with these people and build relationships, and in some cases, collaborate with. Like, I've worked with a couple of the guests we've had on the show, and Marcio's got some collaborations lined up with some of the other guests who I'm not going to name because I don't want to jinx anything, and I want to wait until the stuff's done.
Fair enough.
If that all goes to plan, it'll be very, very cool. But it's just been crazy. Like, I mean, the whole thing is you can't really just tweet someone and say, "Hey, can we jump on Skype to talk?" Because people will be like, "Who are you? That's crazy."
Yeah.
But as soon as you say,
weird stalker guy, what?
I know, right? But as soon as you say, "Hey, I've got a podcast. Can we jump on Skype and talk?" They're like, "Yeah," because they know that it's going to get shared with, more people. But it's just crazy. Like, it's like some of the people that say yes, you're like, "Wow, you just said yes." Like, I did not expect that.
It's an awesome venture, and it's a beautiful thing to be able to connect with these people all over the world, learn from their stories, learn their journeys, and just to be inspired, like you said, you guys do on the show. And the reason why I stick to audio only and not video is because I do not have a wonderful head of hair like yourself. Unfortunately, I have very little hair, so we just we shut the video off here on my end. So that's all you. You can rock that video, man. You do it great.
It's crazy how much additional work that it causes. I mean, to be honest, it doesn't cause me much work because I'm not the one who edits it, because Marcio edits it. Sorry, Marcio. But yeah, there's a lot more work. I think it probably doubles the amount of work that's involved in recording and editing an episode, especially when there's just technical problems that go wrong. Sometimes our program, instead of recording 3 videos, it will record 7, and then you have to basically figure out which part goes where and line it all up, and then line it up with the audio and all these crazy things. So I'd say you're probably wise for deciding to go audio only, and not for the reason that you said, but for the reasons that it drives us kind of crazy.
Yeah, I can understand. It's awesome. I wish that I would, and I wish I knew more about like editing and videos, and even if it's just to put a little promo reel together. It's just something I really haven't delved too deep into, although I'm definitely exploring options, because come to find out, I was at their library the other day with my daughter checking out some books, and they have a state-of-the-art video editing room, and it's got lights up. I mean, it is wicked awesome. They got a huge Mac computer in there, and I haven't got a chance to go over there, but have all the information, and it's definitely something I'm looking into, because there's that whole different medium. There's that whole different listener out there. That visual element, and to be able to bring that aspect into your show, it's gonna reach people. It's gonna touch them on a different level. So definitely, if you guys, we'll have the links for all this for Bridge the Atlantic inside the show notes on the website, so you guys can check it out, because they do such a good job over there. And I believe you guys have T-shirts.
We do, yes. We do have
so
t-shirts.
You guys can go pick up T-shirts too. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be. I love seeing when people buy a shirt and they send us a picture of them wearing it. Like, that's like a really awesome feeling. It's like, hey, you like our show enough to buy a T-shirt and then wear it across your chest.
Yeah,
it's
right?
Really awesome.
It is such a cool feeling. I know I've been going through the same thing this past month with publishing my first book, and the messages and the emails and the phone calls and the pictures. It's so like overwhelming, to the point where like I thought my mom was going to buy a copy and that was it. But we're reaching people. We're reaching people every day, which is why it's important for us to continue creating, to keep following those passions. And I think everybody listening kind of gets it now that Ross just laid it out for you. Just never stop dreaming. And that's awesome, man. That's a total epic journey. I love it. So along this journey of self-discovery, Ross, there's definitely been some things that help you along the way, some resources, maybe a website, a book, something along that nature. So what is something that you could recommend to us?
for me, I've always found like inspiration in podcasts more recently, because podcasting, hasn't been a huge thing for that long. So podcasts have been really big for me. And there's one that I've just found very recently. I think it's called Adapt, and it's like 3 creative entrepreneurs all sitting in a room, and then they interview another kind of entrepreneur, and I've really been enjoying their stuff lately, but kind of more long term. There's a guy in the music marketing space called Bob Baker, and he writes books, he has a great blog, he has videos all over the place. I just find him very inspiring, and he's kind of been a role model, I suppose, throughout my time doing all this. I think even back in college I was aware of him and following his stuff, and the same goes for
Awesome.
For Ariel Hyatt and her blog Cyber PR, well, her company Cyber PR. I find her newsletters and her blogs really interesting, and she's I'm lucky enough now to call her a friend. Going from someone who I just looked up to someone who now I can ask questions to, and I've been able to help her out and vice versa. It's really awesome. So I would definitely list her as one too.
I think if you find those valuable resources, I think everybody else will. So we'll be sure to include links to that and so much more. And before we go, Ross, now that we've gotten off this crazy roller coaster of a time machine, what is something, looking back at your 21-year-old self, you say, would you give some advice or some encouragement or some words of wisdom to your 21-year-old self? What do you think that would be?
I'm going to sound like I'm echoing a lot of our guests on Bridge the Atlantic, but it's something that I've been thinking about quite a lot lately, because I realize that we all do it and we should try and stop. And that is stop comparing ourselves to other people. I know that when I was 21 and I was at college, I was always comparing myself vocally to other people, but then I realized, we're all completely different. Like, we're not all built the same. So why am I comparing, myself to someone else? Is like, when I've got my own, there's good and bad parts to all of us. So why am I only focusing on what's good about someone else and only what's bad about me? I need to kind of, do that less and stop comparing myself to other people. And I'm still guilty of doing it now. I do it with websites. I say, oh, that person made a much better website than me, or, whatever. But I'm definitely trying not to do it. So when I catch myself doing it, I'm like, no, stop it. Stop doing that. Stop comparing yourself to someone else, because, everyone's at a different point and everyone's, good and bad at different things.
That's great. Yeah. To be mindful of that is, I think, a really key takeaway I got from that answer. For anybody who's listening, we're going to have lots of awesome information, links, everything, all the goodies, all the videos, whatever you guys need to know at memyselfandiradio.com/Ross. And before we go, Ross, what's going on? Where can people find you? And what do you have out there that you want people to check out?
If you want to check out my work, you can go to electrickiwi.co.uk. If you want to have a chat, best place is Twitter, because it's my favorite. And my username on there is Electric Kiwi. I'm on Instagram, Facebook as well. You can pretty much find me if you search for Electric Kiwi. I'm Electric Kiwi, the design company, and not the energy company in New Zealand. Completely different people. And
Gotcha.
If you want to check out the podcast, we've got a really annoying website address because the one we wanted was taken. So it's bridge-the-atlantic.com. And you'll find us on Twitter, Facebook, iTunes, YouTube. We're everywhere, pretty much.
No doubt.
Can't get away from
we'll
us.
get all that for everybody so they can follow you and stalk you. And it'll be a beautiful, beautiful thing, I'm sure. But Ross, I can't thank you enough for coming on, man, and just being here with us. And at the end of every show, what I tell everybody out there listening is to control the controllable. As for the rest, keep on flowing and just be. This has been Me, Myself, and I Radio with my lovely guest, Ross Barber-Smith. Thanks so much, Ross.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Me, Myself, and I Radio with your host, Anthony Hayes. Tune in next time.